Hello students, this is Sir Murtaza and welcome you to another lecture of physics. So let's start. So this time we are going to start a new chapter. We are done with the chapter kinematics. Now we are going to start the chapter whose name is dynamics. Okay, so we are going to start a new chapter and the name of this chapter is dynamics. Okay. Now we will look onto the agenda for this lecture video, that what topics we are going to cover. So we are going to discuss the following SLOs. The first SLO is describe the concept of a force with its SI unit. The second one is differentiate among different kinds of forces like gravitational force, drag force, force of friction, electrostatic force and magnetic force. And the last one is analyze the concept of different kind of forces through examples from daily life. So here from this SLOs you might get an idea that we are going to talk about the forces. Okay, firstly we are going to talk about what is the concept of force. Okay, then we will talk about different kinds of forces like gravitational, drag force, etc. And also we will analyze the concept of different kind of forces through examples from daily life. So in this lecture video we will be talking about the forces in a detailed manner. Okay. Now first of all, dynamics. The name of the chapter is dynamics, so we should know the definition for dynamics, that what actually dynamics means. So the definition is the branch of mechanics that deals with the study of motion of an object and the cause of its motion. So dynamics is a branch of mechanics, okay, that deals with the study of motion of an object and the causes of its motion. Okay, so here I may stop you for a second and remind you about the definition for kinematics. In kinematics, what was the definition? The branch of science in which we study about the motion of an object without discussing the causes of motion. It means that in kinematics we also discuss about the motion, but we don't talk about its causes. But in dynamics we study the motion of an object, and also one more additional thing is that we talk about the causes of its motion, that what are the causes because of which a motion occurs. Okay, so this is dynamics. Now let's talk about the definition of force. So force, before telling you the actual definition, I may just tell you that force means what? In your normal life, what does force mean? Force means that you may say that to push someone or to pull someone. Okay, so this is something that is related to force when it comes to our mind in our daily life. Okay, so let's look on to the definition. So the definition is a force moves or tends to move, stops or tends to stop the motion of a body. So it means that what does a force do? A force moves or tends to move, stops or tends to stop the motion of a body. For example, if an object is at rest, if you apply force on it, so what happens? It starts moving because of the force. Okay, or you may also say like this, for example, a body is moving and you apply force on it, so what do? You stop the motion of an object. So it means that a force can either move or it can either stop the motion of a body. Okay, another definition you might also listen, that a force is a push or a pull. Okay, so this is also another definition for force, which is the push or the pull, but I may recommend you to remember this definition. Okay, now different types of forces. We may have different types of forces. The first type is the gravitational force or gravity. Okay, what is this force? The force with which the force with which attracts the body towards the earth. This means that this is the force which attracts the body towards the earth. We know that the body, all human body attracts towards the earth. So the force with which an earth attracts a body, that is known as the gravitational force. As it is a force, so it is one type of a force which is known as the gravitational force or gravity. Okay, the second one is drag force. Okay, the definition is the force acting opposite to the direction of motion of a body. Okay, for example, if a body is moving in this direction, okay, and we are, if for example, if applying force in its opposite direction, so this opposite force is called as the drag force. Okay, the force acting opposite to the direction of motion of a body. So this force is acting opposite to the direction of motion of a body. Now the next type is friction. Okay, now what is friction? The resisting force acting on the surface of a body. Okay, you may have feel, for example, if there is a rough surface and you just move your hand from that surface, so you may find some resisting force. Okay, so this resisting force is actually called as the friction force. Okay, so friction force is another type of force, and its definition is the resisting force acting on the surface of a body. Okay, now the other types may be electrostatic force. Okay, as the name defines, it is something related with electricity or charges. So the definition is the force of attraction or repulsion because of its electric charge. We know that electric charges repel and attract each other. Okay, so the force with which an electric charge attracts or repels a body or a charge is called as the electrostatic force. Okay, now the last type of force is the magnetic force. Magnetic force, the force of attraction or repulsion experienced by a charged particle in a magnetic field. Okay, we know that the magnet is surrounded by a magnetic field. So the force of attraction or repulsion that is being experienced by a charged particle in a magnetic field is known as the magnetic force. Okay, so these are some of the types of forces that we have learned. Now let's move on to some other SLOs. Okay, now examples of force from daily life. Now we will talk about some of the forces from our daily life. Okay, so for a moment I may stop you and ask you, just tell me some of your examples from your daily life related to force, or what it could be. Okay, I'll tell you. One example would be opening a door by either pushing or pulling. This is one example of force. If we open a door either by pushing or pulling, so this is an example of a force, okay, from our daily life. Now lifting a bucket. Okay, for example, if there is a bucket and if you lift it, okay, lift means if you raise it to some height, so this is another example of force. Okay, then squeezing of wet clothes to dry it, this is another example. For example, there is a clothes which is very wet, so in order to in order to dry it, what you do, you squeeze it. Okay, so this is another example for the force. Okay, and one last is hitting a ball through a bat. Okay, so this is another example for a force. If you hit a ball with a bat, this is another example for force from our daily life. And also there could be many other examples that comes in your mind, so you can also write that examples. So these are some of the examples related from daily life regarding force. Okay, so this is it for this video. Hope you understood this lecture very well. We'll meet you very soon in our next lecture video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.